Hi everyone, it's James Arter here. So today I wanted to talk about quick swipe comping in Logic Pro X. I believe Logic's version to be the most intuitive and the most powerful, and I wanted to take you through a whole bunch of the features and show you why I think it's so great. If you're interested in that, stick around. As always, if you liked the video, please do me a favour and click the old thumbs up and hit the subscribe at the bottom there, and you'll be notified of all upcoming videos. Also, if you sign up to the mailing list, I will send you a bunch of free stuff. Free stuff is always good. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, now before we get started, there are two settings that I think you should enable. This will make things a little bit easier in recording, and also it helps with the editing, which is coming up later. So, number one, preferences, audio. On the general tab, we want to make sure that marquee tool click zones is enabled. That's number one. Secondly, is in the recording tab, also in preferences. Now this one should be on by default anyway, but if it's not, just double check. On audio, cycle off and cycle on, make sure they're both set to create take folder. This just means that every time when you're recording vocals, even if it's on a loop or if you're just recording over the same part, it will make sure that it creates a new take in the folder. Other options could be new track and track alternative, which are fine, but that's not going to work for the sake of this tutorial. So make sure those are enabled. So we're going to start with a recording of a single instrument. So something like a guitar or vocals or a bass guitar, for example. In this case, we're using vocals. And with all of those previous settings in place, every time your vocalist records over a take, it will create another take in the folder. So here's one I prepared earlier. And we've got 3 different takes here, conveniently labeled take 1, take 2, take 3. Lovely, thank you very much. Logic. We'll just have a quick listen to it.
Fear took me by the hand and showed me to a promised land. I don't need to question a life already planned.
Okay, now Logic make it super easy for you. If you want to use a word here and there from a different take, or you want to use a whole line, all you have to do is quick swipe. I'll show you. So the one that's lit up means that's one that we're listening to, and then at the very top here, this represents your comp. So all the changes you make will appear on the top line there. So for example, if we wanted to use one line off take 3, one line off take 2, another one off take 1, all you need to do is swipe like that. And the changes will be made.
Show me to a promised land. I don't need to question a life already planned. Safe in the arms of a lightless.
Nice and easy, cannot be easier. Now, one thing to bear in mind, and this is down to the settings that we set up earlier, you need to pay attention to the cursor. Depending on where it is and a waveform, it's going to change. So as you can see at the moment, it's just a cursor. As it goes down to the middle, turns to a marquee, and at the bottom, you've got these 2 arrows, which means a quick swipe. And that's the one we're using for quick swipe comping. Very, very easy indeed. If you want to use a word here, a word there, whatever, I'm just making it up as I'm going along. I'm not even listening to it. Of course, if you're doing it properly, you're going to be listening to it and you're going to be auditioning each one. Now, something that can be really fantastic at this point is, for example, we want to check each take for the same word. So for example, this little one here, let's just zoom in a little bit. Now we like that comp, but we want to check the same thing in each part.
I don't need to quit.
All you need to do is you need to click above or below on any one of the other takes in exactly the same position, but don't do any swiping, just do a click and it will keep the same edit that you've got there, and you can check to see which word you like the best.
I don't need to quit. I don't need to question. I don't need to question.
As simple as that. It can't be any easier, and this is partly why I love Logic for it. You don't have to do anything like in Pro Tools where you do the different playlists, and then yes, you do a swipe to choose which one you want, but then you have to promote it to the top and all of that. The quick swipe is just so easy. It does it immediately for you. And as I said, right on the top here, you can see what's happened with the comp, and you can see which takes you're receiving it from. What I tend to do as a matter of course when I'm recording vocals, for example, I'll colour them as I'm going along if I found that it was a particularly good take. So for example, at the time I thought take 3 was maybe the best take, so after I recorded it I coloured it green. It means that one's always appearing green, whereas the other ones, they were great takes also, but they're just set at the default colour because I didn't think it was as good as take 3, which I made green. Now, this is all well and good if all of the takes were recorded in a fairly similar way, and all you're doing is flipping between different takes. But what about if one of the takes was really, really good, but you just found it was a little bit out of time and you want to nudge it around a little bit more? You can. And this is where the marquee tool comes in. So remember I mentioned before about how the cursor changes. Well, if we go back to that, we can see as it goes to the middle, you get the marquee. This is a super powerful tool. All you need to do is highlight the part that you want to change. That's highlighted now. Click it. And you've created a new little region there. And now this part, if you're clicking when the cursor is the arrow, all you need to do is move it around like that without a problem. It still works in the same way. If you now change it to go down to the quick swipe, you can do the comping just as you were doing it before. Let's go back. We'll go back to this part. I've just select that region. I'm going to move it back a little bit more. One thing that can be super useful is using the nudge feature in this section. So, for example, you were just, the vocalist did it great, but they were just a little bit ahead of the beat maybe. Click on that region, and then you're going to press Alt and the arrow keys right and left, and it's going to nudge it. Just like that. If you need to set the nudge value as well, this is just a bit of a side note. Go up to the top here. As this cursor changes again, you can drag down the toolbar and you've got your nudge value right in the middle there. I often have it set at 10 milliseconds because that's just a good amount, especially when doing vocals or making small changes. But you can have it set to all sorts of different measures if you want, like eighth notes or half notes or whatever. I tend to keep it set to about 10 milliseconds because it's quite a useful amount. Okay, now what if you've done a wonderful comp, you're very happy with it, it's sounding great, and then the next day your vocalist comes back and they want to record another take, but you don't want to lose everything that you've done. Of course, it happens all the time. I've been there a lot. Not a problem. The best thing I would do in this situation, go back to your original comp, click the little A over here, and you get a whole bunch of options. Best thing to do is duplicate the comp, and then just for good housekeeping, let's rename that. If you go down to the same place, we can do rename comp. We're going to call it comp with new takes. And now when we go to record over the top of that, just for the sake of showing you, I'm just going to make some noises over the top, but obviously it's not part of the vocal. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 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 hey, 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 1, 2, 3, and that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to record that part.
Alive already.
Lovely. Now as you open up that comp, you'll see here's our new take 4 on the top. That's wonderful, but annoyingly all the other small comps that I had going on have been erased because you can't see what's happened. So if I'll show you that in real time, in fact.
Alive already planned.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah, yeah.
We'll try.
See down here, there are lots of small comps that are just doing individual words and whatnot, but now they've all gone, and it might have been that actually I wanted to keep those odd words, but I just wanted to replace a few other ones with the new take. Well, best thing to do is click up on this, now it's a B because it's a new comp, click up on that, and up the top here you've got the 2 comps that you've made. So if I go back to comp A, my original one, you'll notice that all of the original comps and choices are intact, but now you have the 2 additional takes on the top, and they're grayed out because they're currently not being chosen to be played. So now if you've just decided that you want to use just one word or whatever from the new take, you can just swipe comp like you did before, and there you go, you've got your brand new comp again. Now a good matter of course is if you're doing lots of different comps and you want to have maybe separate versions, then just duplicate the comp just like I did before. So we're going to do that again, duplicate comp, and we're going to rename that comp 2. And now we have multiple comps that we can use, and we can always go back to where we were. Now, when you're satisfied with the comp that you've made, just to keep things nice and tidy, it's good to commit to that track and maybe move it to another one. Now, there are 2 ways of doing it, and I'll show you the way which I think is a little bit safer. So go back up to the top here like we were before. One way is you can flatten and merge. That's going to do a bounce. That's going to bounce that whole comp together. looks fantastic, nice and clean. Or you can just do flatten, which is very handy because now you can see all those different takes in there. And if you wanted to drag back some of the edits, you still can, like that. Just in case you didn't make the best edit you could have done at the time of doing a comp, you can still adjust that. And that is fantastic. However, as you can see, I can't get back to my original comps at all now. So what if I wanted to go and do that whole thing again and make some actual big changes and actually move take 2 into the place of take 3? Well, you can. But this is why I would now do it in this method. And this is where you use a similar thing to what you have in Pro Tools, which is now featured in Logic, which is the track alternatives. So over here, if you click on this little arrow, I've got a B and A, but if we do duplicate, and let's call that comp 1. Now you can do all of the above, all of the things that I've just said previously. Let's say we're going to go flatten and merge because I'm very, very happy with that. Happy days, okay. But if you've decided actually I want to go back into that comp again and just change things, you still can, but you just go to track alternatives and go back to your previous one. Go back to B, and there you go. You've still got all of the work that you did before, and you can make your changes. I'm just going to make one now. There we go, lovely jubbly. Happy with that. Back to track alternatives, duplicate that. Good housekeeping. Let's rename it something. We're gonna call that comp 3. And now if you flatten and merge, that's ready to be used, but you still have the other ones that you can go back to whenever you need to. Really handy. Oh, and quick plug, if you really liked the vocal and the song there, please go and check out this girl's music. It's fantastic. I'll leave a description down below. She goes by the name of Little Dot Big City. She's an incredible songwriter, a fantastic vocalist, and an all-round awesome human being. Now, this works exactly the same way if you're using multi-track comping as well. So, for example, if you've recorded drums that have multiple mics on them, or maybe a guitar has multiple mics on an amplifier, or multiple mics on an acoustic, or whatever you're doing, it all works in the same way. The only thing you need to remember is make sure that they're grouped. So I'll show you. So over here, we've got all of my drums that are recorded. Now they're already in a group, but I'm going to start a new one just to show you. Select all the tracks that are in that group. If you're recording anything that is multiple tracks, I'd recommend doing this before you start recording. But for whatever reason, if you haven't, all you need to do, all highlighted, go over to the group section here, select new. We can rename it up there. Drums 2, fantastic. And just ensure that these settings are checked. You've got editing, quantized locked audio, and a handy one to have checked in case you're using some of the methods from earlier is track alternatives. Now, in exactly the same way, when you go to do your edits, when you click this usual little arrow to check the comps, we'll just open it up. You'll see all different takes. We've got take 7, there we go. Okay, we've got 1, 2, take 7, take 8, take 9, they're all spread out all over the place because they were drums recorded at slightly different times or different parts of the song. And then any changes that you make on one of these tracks will follow to all of the other ones at the same time. So for example, with drums, I often work from the kick drum. Any changes that you make, you'll see on all the other tracks, the changes are following. See this line? That means that that's where a new comp has happened, like that. As you can see below, they've all appeared on the other tracks as well. Now, I won't delve into editing drums in too much detail because that's a whole other video, but this one is mainly about using quick swipe comping. So as I said, it works in exactly the same way. Simple as that. And then, like before, all of the same methods apply. You can make all the changes. You can duplicate the comps. You can flatten and merge. And as you can see, these are all the different takes that we've got. 17 takes. That's a lot of takes, but that was there are lots of parts in that song. And in the same way before, use track alternatives to create additional playlists there. And it's as simple as that. Okay, that's it. I hope that's been really informative for you, and hope it's going to show that Logic has the best comping method around. Now, yes, of course, all of the DAWs do tend to borrow some methods from each other, but I find that Logic just tends to be the perfect amalgamation. What do you think? Leave some comments below. If you liked the video, hit the like and also subscribe for more upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.